From the heart of the Midwest, where heritage meets the glass, you're tuned in to a deep dive with the man behind the Badger Beer Report. He's taking you behind the tap handle and into the brew house to talk shop with the legends of the craft. This is The Session with Greg Washington.
Good afternoon and welcome back to The Session. I'm Greg Washington, as Landon introduced me. We are coming to you live during your midday lunch hour with a front page industry briefing. Before we bring our guests on the stream today, we have to talk about the absolute madness that took place over the weekend. Last Thursday on this network, I sat down with Master Brewer Kirby Nelson from Lake Louie to break down the technical logistics of the final batch, the final farewell batch of Schlitz. Within hours of the pre-order getaway opening this past Saturday, the entire online allotment for the historic 80-barrel run was completely wiped out. Sold out in under 24 hours. I think sold out under 2 hours, y'all. It proves that while macro distribution models are shifting, consumer appetite for regional identity and heritage is at its all-time high. There's an absolute perfect bridge to our guest today. Joining us live on the stream is a man who started 14 years ago brewing on 300 gallons at a time in a tiny corner. That doesn't sound right. 3 gallons at a time. That's what it is. Today, his brewery is preparing for its 14th anniversary celebration this Saturday, and they have officially scaled to become the third largest independent craft brewery in the whole state of Wisconsin. Without further ado, I'm going to bring on my guest here. His name is Grant Pauly. Hi, Grant. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great. And Grant, let's start with the massive distribution news. You launched in Illinois back in 2027, strategically pulled back during the height of the pandemic to focus heavily on the home front here in Wisconsin. Now you're officially re-entering Chicagoland in a partnership with Brew City Distribution. What has changed in the Northern Illinois distribution landscape over the past few years? And what is the operational checklist for a regional powerhouse such as yourself, rescaling into a major out-of-state metro?
Personally, I couldn't be more excited to get back down there. We launched in about 2016, and back then there weren't a lot of breweries in Chicago, which is crazy to think of now. I think there's 226 registered in the Chicagoland area. But when we went in there were only a dozen. Yeah, you had the big ones. You had the Goose, the Half Acre, Metropolitan, the pub itself. There wasn't a big landscape, so it was great. When we went down there, we were local adjacent, and we had so many good relationships and so many great accounts that we worked with that when we pulled out during COVID, at that point, it just made sense for us. We were still growing in Wisconsin. We wanted to bring our person back up here. We survived during COVID because Wisconsin people supported us, right? They wanted to take care of their own. Illinois was the same way. People down there, they just supported local, which you have to appreciate. And it didn't make sense for us to come back. And every year, though, we kept looking at it because I couldn't wait to get back down to Chicagoland. It's just such a great beer town. And this year felt right. So, yes, partnering with Brew City Distribution, we launched starting last week, and it's been a great start. I was down there for a couple of days last week, and you're seeing a lot of our old friends. Still doing it today down there, and we had some good events. We have great accounts that we'll get to call home base in Chicagoland, and hopefully grow that from here.
Yeah. So operationally, how does this sales strategy for Illinois look different? Does it look different than it did in 2020 or 17?
It does. With what's the best way? I would say we're going to take a bit more of a targeted approach down there at this point. When we launched in 16, it was kind of like Wisconsin's landscape 14 years ago. Not as many breweries. That wide net strategy it made sense here and it made sense there back then. But our goal right now is not to be everywhere in Chicago, but just to be in the right spots. Find those good partners, find those good accounts that we can that'll pour our product, that we can come in and support easily. From Wisconsin to across the way, because that's one thing that we're passionate about is if an account is going to have our beer, we want to make sure that we are partnering with them. It's not just a thank you for buying it, I'll see you next time we do a sale. That's never been our approach to this, and we want to make sure we maintain that down in Illinois. So yeah, we're going to be, slowly growing the market, working with kind of getting the pulse for it, get a feel for it since we're back in, and we'll see where it goes from there. But just getting to be down there, part of that group, getting to be part of that brewing scene as well. Running into a whole bunch of brewers I haven't seen in a while, and the excitement of just all of it getting to sell in the same market and be together it's as much about that cultural connection as about selling the beer down there.
Well, yeah, you actually lived in Chicago and Evanston for years, and you received your formal brewing education right there at Siebel, or Siebel was there. We'll leave that for another time.
Back in the day, yep, yeah.
Yeah. But in your recent anniversary announcement, you noted that Chicagoans traveling north have a deep emotional connection to Wisconsin. This re-entry kind of gives them a shortcut to those memories. From a brand building standpoint, how much of this play relies on catching that nostalgic inner Illinois tourism summer crowd, as opposed to fighting tap handles against Chicago's best?
Correct. It's a combo, right? I mean, people. Weekend are tourist days for us in the tap room. People coming from all over Chicago, including going to Door County, going through up to the UP, you name it, and it's really fun to see those folks. When you look at our website analytics, every month the number one area to go to our website is Chicago. It's been like that for years. So there's a lot of interest. There's a lot of people who remember from when we were down there. So it's I think part Three Sheeps, but also part Wisconsin. We have a lot of transplants down there who are still fond of Wisconsin, and our goal is to kind of bring Wisconsin to them. Bring our style of beers, bring what we do and we think we do really well down to Illinois, and just try to add ourselves to the variety. Because again, I think people love craft beer. It's rare that someone just drinks that one craft beer all the time. People like to rotate. They like the variety. They like a beer for every occasion, and we would love to be a part of that.
Yeah, let's talk about Saturday. Y'all have a milestone coming up as you prepare for your 14th anniversary party. Three Sheeps is officially recognized as the third largest craft brewer in the state of Wisconsin. When you look at the sheer scale of the operation today, what was was there a specific turning point or business decision that vaulted y'all basically out of Sheboygan?
Oh man, it's a few things. One, I think it's just a style of beer that we latched onto, that we wanted to make early on. We do it all, right? We do the barrel aged, we do the big hoppy hazes, we do the rest. But at the end of the day, for me, what was most central to who I wanted Three Sheeps to be, and who our team really wanted Three Sheeps to be, was we wanted to make drinkable beer for every occasion. We wanted to have that beer that you could have whether you're tailgating, whether it's a wedding, whether it's just a rough day at work. We want to make drinkable beer that's priced drinkably. And I think especially nowadays that's really resonating with people. It's beer, thankfully, that at this point people know they can trust. They know that pack of Fresh Coast is going to taste like that 6-pack of Fresh Coast every time. Our price point, we work really hard to make sure that we are able to keep it at a good price. In Wisconsin, $8.99 to $9.99 a 6-pack. That is our goal. We want to let people save a few bucks and put it towards whatever else you need to do. And especially in today's climate, I think that's just working really well for us. People are watching where they're spending their money, how they're using their fun money. And craft beer is, while I like to think that it's people will enjoy it and it's recession resistant, whatever that term you want to use is, you still have to make a choice in how you're going to apply those dollars. And I think over the years, it's worked well for us. We've grown every year since we started. Even in COVID, we were up that year, and we haven't had those meteoric 100-200% growth years like we have, but every year it's 10 to 20% increase. And I think that just lends itself to just more mature growth, less of a flash in the pan, and we'll be here hopefully. We kind of joke, I want to be here and hear someday that you're drinking Three Sheeps because you saw your grandparents drink Three Sheeps. That's what we're trying to build and what we're trying to get to. And so far that is thankfully resonating, and people are enjoying it.
Yeah, and y'all specifically opened up during that craft beer boom where a lot of homebrewers were switching over to pro, and y'all have, knock on wood, have outlasted a lot of them. Whether it be respectfully fad breweries or breweries that didn't have enough either reach or money, or there's a lot of things that go into Grant. We see We have 9 closures here in Wisconsin this year so far, I believe. We see, and there's probably 9 different reasons, right? why they're not around. So 14 is halfway to 30, and 30 is legacy for me. So we're close, Grant. We're getting there.
We're getting there.
Yeah. Your Stay Strong Golden Lager. Let's hang out on some. Let's talk some beers here. This is kind of beer adjacent. But your Stay Home Golden Lager was just selected as Wisconsin's. Bear with me, y'all. Semi-quincentennial. I got it right.
Nailed it.
There we go. Of the official state beer for the country's upcoming 250th anniversary events. So let me say that again, y'all, because I went through quick. Three Sheeps Golden Lager was selected as Wisconsin's semi-quincentennial commission as the official state beer of the country's upcoming 250th anniversary events. So I want Grant to walk us through how does this happen, basically. But I'm going to do my technical thing. What was the competitive process behind the scenes with this? I suspect that we had people rolling in and trying. Maybe I'm wrong.
Not quite. Probably not as competitive as I thought. This was very cool. The part of, as we said, we want to be a fabric of Wisconsin. We want to be a part of the culture. We want Three Sheeps just to kind of resonate on every level. So each state has its own commission that's responsible for putting together all the festivities and events surrounding the 250th anniversary. And we got a call one day from Wisconsin asking if we'd be interested in creating the beer to represent Wisconsin's 250th. And of course, what a cool honor, what a cool nod to get. So we kind of brainstormed and figured out what we might want to do, and realized, we have a beer in the coffers that would be perfect for this. Stay Golden is our golden lager. It's a nod to Kingsbury, the Kingsbury Pale Ale from back in the day, which was, my family owned and ran that, post-Prohibition for a couple dozen years. And I thought that style of beer just made sense. It's kind of a style that's tested the time. It's been here for forever. We thought, what an appropriate beer to have to celebrate 250 years. It's a beer that's approachable for just about everyone. Everyone can enjoy one, and hopefully be proud to drink one as a cheers. We get to celebrate this year. So yes, it started rolling out last week to market. I would say by the end of next week, it should be at most locations, and it should be at retailers and on-premise spots throughout Wisconsin through Memorial Day, or through Labor Day rather, with the big party being around the 4th of July.
Excellent. And so there's this. And now we have with the Wisconsinitis brand. Did I say that right?
Wisconsinitis. Yeah.
Wisconsinitis. There it is.
It's the perils that happen when you make up a word, Yeah.
Yeah, no, but it makes sense and it looks right now. You've established an annual tradition of honoring a local icon. Last year, it was Packer Hall of Famer Leroy Butler. This year, we're pivoting to the music history of Waukeesha's own Les Paul. I didn't even know Les Paul was from Wisconsin until y'all put this out there. This isn't just a label play, though. You partner directly with the Les Paul Foundation to turn this into a major summer fundraiser from Memorial Day to Labor Day. Talk to us about the business and the community strategy behind this. How does anchoring one of your core beer year-round brands to a major nonprofit, how does that, how do we change? What is that? Yeah, talk about that.
So, with Wisconsinites, we landed on, I guess going back, the longer we do this, the longer we get to make beer and get to see all of Wisconsin, going around to all retailers and just getting to experience every city in the state, the more we fall in love with Wisconsin. And Wisconsinites for us is it's kind of just like fervent love of this state, and, the desire to just kind of shout it out so everyone understands and knows, how awesome Wisconsin is. And part of that ties to the people. It's a big part of it. And we decided that every year we're going to try to focus on someone. So last year was, the originator of the Lambeau Leap, Leroy Butler, which was an awesome way to kick things off. And we wanted to shift it around. So this year, once we kind of landed on Les Paul, who's more iconic in music than this man? And coming from Wisconsin and his history here and everything that he's done, it was once we realized, this is a no-brainer, we have to do this. And we reached out to the Les Paul Foundation, and they loved the idea. They've been awesome partners for this whole thing, to the point where now we have a really great campaign that we get to run from now through Labor Day, promoting Les Paul and all of his accomplishments, and then tying it to some really cool events throughout the state. The big one being, we are doing a battle of the bands, because, of course, right, with Les Paul. So we'll have a battle of the bands in Madison at Harmony Bar, in Appleton at Gibson, and in Milwaukee at the Bavarian, part of the Pabst Theater Group. And then we'll have the finals at our tap room. And the winner of the finals is going to get flown out to LA to record at the Les Paul recording studio, which they refurbished. It's all the original equipment in great shape now. They'll get a day to record on the rights to all their music. And we'll see what else we can kind of, hopefully the next big act from Wisconsin, can have a little leg up and have a chance.
Look at that. You're the new Ryan Seacrest. You're going to be doing American Idol. Look at you. You got the face for it. You're ready for it. We just got to clean you up. Not even that much. We're good. But from a community standpoint, though, can you go a little bit further? How important was it for Three Sheeps to create an actual springboard for independent music rather than just hosting bands, which I know y'all do, and all breweries do? This is another stuff, Grant.
This is, it's thankfully we have a lot of really talented musicians in our company, gentlemen and ladies who perform in different bands, and because of that, we've gotten a really good glimpse at just how great the music scene is here in Wisconsin. I mean, you can go to any city, and there's good acts playing from all different genres, and that I think that was a big point for us in this is just it doesn't have to it's not all about someone who's famous, or it's what makes Wisconsin great, and it's just again all the people here, and how can we highlight just this incredible talent? We have music at our tap room every Friday, and there are weeks where I'm just blown away by how good these people are. They're just doing it for fun. It's a hobby. It's all the members have their kids at home. They can only practice once a month now as things get older, but they still come out. They put on a great show. They're passionate. Trying to reward that and highlight that more so that maybe if you don't typically go out to a show, and this is another opportunity, just again giving people a chance to see another element of Wisconsin that we're celebrating.
Yeah, and I want to, before we move along, I want to make sure everybody knows the prize for this tournament, and then Grant, I'll say it, and then you can verify whether I'm right or not. Because let's talk about the prizes, though, because you aren't just handing a winner a polite round of applause and a gift card. The grand champion gets flown to Los Angeles to record at the Les Paul recording studio using his original gear with a professional engineer, plus $3 grand in cash. This is a massive career-altering opportunity for any unsigned indie band, let alone one from Wisconsin, where it's just, I feel we're kind of in that flyover zone where people don't think we're talented out here. Did I get the logistics?
Oh, you nailed it. Exactly.
Yep.
That's it. And then the other part, which was great, is Gibson Guitar has also agreed to partner with us on this. And they are giving us a custom Les Paul Gibson to give away. So for anyone out there who you buy a Three Sheeps package at the liquor grocery store, wherever you're in Wisconsin, we wanted to open this up for everyone. On the bottom of our package, there's a QR code. You scan that, submit a form, and you'll be entered for a chance to win. You go to a bar, you have a pint of Three Sheeps, scan it, send it in, and you'll be entered to win this custom Les Paul Gibson guitar. So it's a big group effort. Everyone's just so excited to, celebrate Les Paul that hopefully will really fun few months of getting to talk about the man and the legend.
I'm trying to be more newsy and more news up front, but I have to. I told myself I wasn't going to use sound effects in this one, but I had to. I mean, it's just so much fun, and it makes it really easy to engage with y'all. If that makes sense. And I think that's kind of what, kind of maybe the thing behind this is that it's just easy to engage with all this kind of. Go to a concert, have something really top, or what's the word? Something in it, in for it. Your local bands, it's that same thing, and bringing out the band's friends and all that. I just see it being a big plus. This sounds really fun. I'm glad you were able to talk about that. But I want to get to the beer here. I have some beer questions for you, Grant.
Sounds good.
Liquids. You just 2026 Curvy blend, a massive 37% blend, combining 15 month barrel of Imperial Stout, 14 Stout, 20-month barley wine. In a market where high market ABV, where high volume, lower ABV beers. How do you operate with financials maintain a balance to meet long-term barrel aging like Curvy and
Greg, one sec. I am we're breaking up here a little bit. I'm missing a lot of this question. Give me a moment. I'm just gonna try to shut down a few other things on my
No worries.
computer.
Oh, this is live too. This is live streaming.
Oh, it's already all right. So much better. Would you mind starting that one over? I apologize. Yeah.
No worries. I basically the question is, y'all do some very integral things on the barrel age side. My opinion, Three Sheeps is one of our elite barrel age programs in Wisconsin. And I have to say one because we have another big elephant in the room there with that.
Oh, for sure.
But outside, I mean, in the state of Wisconsin and regionally, y'all are just dominant, both of y'all. Central Waters, for example, and I know Pauly and Central Waters go back far because they have mutual collaborations. Check that Wolf that they had coming out recently was amazing. But my the question, Grant, was basically, so where we go? How do you basically operationally and financially balance, the elite long-term barrel aging program like Curvy and Wolf, and then the other side is low ABVs, quick cranking out generally lagers and ales?
It makes running a brewery much more difficult, I'd say, than not having it, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. The barrel aged beer it's such a different animal. And, from a financial standpoint, thankfully we have a great local bank that supported us from day one. They kind of come through, and as we went through this whole thing, kind of explained, hey, here's what we're looking to do. We're going to spend all this money now, and in 18 months we'll get to recoup it. I kind of went through everything with them and explained it to them, and they were on board. So we have just kind of a separate loan line of credit that's just for our barrel aged product. We know that's going to go in, it's going to come out, and that makes it a lot easier financially because I know what interest we're going to pay on that money. We need to incorporate that into the price, and and that's that side of it. And every year we kind of balance it, we grow, and that's its own separate conversation with the bank of here's where everything else sits, here's where this sits, here's what we're looking at this year, here's how we're turning it. So they've been, again, awesome partner, and a big reason why we're able to grow our barrel program to what we are. We're sitting at roughly 1,000 barrels resting right now, which is it's a lot of oak hanging out for usually a minimum 16 months to quite a bit longer sometimes. But as far as the beer itself goes, yeah, it's such a fun project because you have to look at it so differently. You don't want the beer to taste great coming out of that fermenter before you put it in the barrels, because you're letting this beer sit for 16 plus months. So you need to figure out how is this beer going to mellow and change over that time to make sure you still get great flavor here, starting here. So it's always fun to let people try the Wolf, for example, our number one barrel aged beer, day one, because it's frankly pretty disgusting, intentionally so, because we know we need those flavors to mellow to what we want right here. And then getting to play with the different types of bourbon barrels. And, now that we buy the volume we do, we're able to, get full truckloads directly from Kentucky within 3 days of being dumped. So the quality of the barrels coming into us also is really, really high. And that only helps to make the finished product that much better. So it's a big journey for us through. But, I think the one thing that I'm really proud of what we do is, early on we used to, I think like a lot of places, we'd have our 4 barrel age releases of the year. Like, okay, this year we're going to do cocoa nibs and walnuts this year, and this one's going to be cinnamon and nutmeg, and this one's going to be X. And we kind of found doing it that way that a lot of times we'd get the product out of the barrel after those 16 months, and all of a sudden you'd have these cool flavors develop in there that work with whatever we were looking to blend, but they didn't enhance what's already there. And that's something that kind of, I think, just become really passionate about. Is I want to make sure that the oak, everything that's already been done, the beer itself, aging in these great bourbon barrels where you're getting whatever flavors are, whether it's toffee, vanilla, caramel, whatever's coming from that wood, that char, I want that to shine through. So we start sampling those barrels around 12 months and say, okay, these barrels are screaming citrus. These barrels are screaming chocolate. What can we do? How do we make these even better as a result of that? So we do a lot of releases, a lot of smaller releases because of it. And I think that last year and this year we're on pace to do 38 different barrel age releases a year. But again, it's one of our passion projects. We love making chaos. We love doing all these things, but there's just something artistic about barrel aged beer, and what you get out of it as long as you put the time in that makes it so worthwhile.
Right. Now, that is that is an aside from what we were talking about earlier, and I'm going to get back into a little bit now, which is Chaos Pattern Hazy IPA is the undisputed workhorse of the Three Sheeps portfolio, y'all. If y'all don't know, I've talked to a Three Sheeps rep about a month ago, and I was amazed at the numbers. And maybe Grant wants to share that. Maybe Grant doesn't. I don't care. I was amazed at hearing about how much Chaos Pattern Hazy IPA is a backbone for Three Sheeps. It's everywhere from the local tap rooms to major grocery stores across the state. From a production and a cellar management standpoint, what is the hardest part about brewing a high volume, heavily hopped flagship at that scale, Grant? How do you ensure that the batch running through the canning line is identical to the batch that you ran through 6 months ago? You were talking about this earlier. Here's a chance to really jump in on this.
Oh, for sure. Chaos, it's just like all of our core beers. Yeah, what I love about us is our flagship isn't like a typical one. Most breweries are flagship. You're looking at 70%, 80% of the volume. Chaos Pattern is still a huge thing for us, but it's only represents about 38%. That's shifting. Every year, Chaos grows about 25% for us. This year's no exception. We're up 25% over this time last year. So it's really fun. And for us, there's 2 points to Chaos that we want to make sure we maintain. One, that beer's got to taste the same, just like you said. We are always testing and comparing. We keep samples from every batch. We store them in different conditions. We store them cold, perfect ideal conditions. We store them warm. Like you might find on a shelf at a warm, liquor store. We store them in terrible conditions in case someone might have left them behind their condenser at a bar and kind of forgot about them. How does the beer age and how does it change? How do we make sure that no matter what happens to it, it's still going to represent what we want out of this beer? So that, those are weekly tests. We have a full-time lab that is always running those samples. They're always testing it through. The other side of it, Chaos Pattern, then is, like you said, is we go out to Yakima every year. We select our hops. We make sure that we can get them as consistent as possible because hops are a crop. Depending on the climate, things change. So our goal is to make sure that the blend of hops that we put into Chaos, we can get so that flavor matches. So every year our hop ratios may tweak a little bit, but we're doing that to ensure that Chaos in 25 tastes like Chaos in 26, which will taste like Chaos in 27. So there is a lot of sensory involved for a very hoppy beer. But then the third part that Chaos that's very important for us is making sure we can maintain our pricing. We have not taken a price increase. We don't want to. Where people's disposable income, like we said, is tough right now, and we don't want to add to that burden. So we've we made the call this year in particular to not take an increase, and actually for our 12 packs we took a price decrease, so people can bring a 12 pack of Chaos home and still and enjoy it and know that they can have that stable thing in the fridge to enjoy. They can go out and kind of get some fun beers, like I think everyone should. The variety, craft beer is about variety. Do that, but if you want to keep Chaos in the fridge, you can do so at a good price. So that's working with our team on every little efficiency we can squeak out. Weekly we look at, can we eke out another 0.2% on our milk? Can we eke out another 0.5% on our centrifuge? What are we doing? How do we maintain this to make sure that we're capturing everything we possibly can so that we can hold that price and keep Chaos? Like I said, we want it to be a beer that's extremely drinkable and part of people's fridge. So we have to make sure that people can afford to do so. So those are kind of the 3 parts of Chaos that we spend a lot of time on every week.
Yeah. And it's a big, as you said, it's a big percentage of what y'all do. So of course you're going to spend a lot of time maintaining that baby. And it's a great, approachable, fun summer hazy. I would call it summer hazy, but year round, hazies are year round now. So it's not even, we're not even going to be doing that, Grant, here, right?
No, hazies are year round.
Absolutely. So you've been incredibly candid. A little bit pivot away from the beer a little bit. You've been incredibly candid about the changing economic realities of downtown districts. Noting weekly foot traffic and post-work happy hour culture aren't returning to pre-pandemic baselines. Looking back at the closure of Milwaukee joint venture taproom last August, what did that experience teach y'all? When I mean y'all, I mean Three Sheeps about the risks of urban satellite taprooms versus doubling down on your destination brewery.
Correct. I mean, it was. Every year we look, should we open another tap room? What do we want to focus on? What are our thoughts? And every year it has always come back that no, our focus, our goal is we want to be in every liquor and grocery store. We want to be at bars. We're we're a manufacturing plant first. It's what I love about Three Sheeps. I love getting to make the beer. I love that we can put it out there. We want to grow that and just have Three Sheeps be available forever, everywhere. And the tap room, is also, we love our Sheboygan tap room. People come in, it's a chance to communicate directly with our customers, get their feedback, see what they think, which is so crucial because that's how we make our decisions for what's going to leave the tap room. It's a really nice side of it. And, the hybrid that came up when we were kind of figuring out what we wanted to do for that second location was, when Door County and Hacienda reached out to us just saying, would you like to join us? And to me, that was a perfect opportunity to get into Milwaukee, because Milwaukee is such a great market for us too. They've supported us forever. We do a lot down there, sponsoring events, the Free Public Radio, we're at the Buck Stadium. We do Milwaukee Uncut. It's a big community for us, and getting to have a home base to base out of for retailers to come in and enjoy beer directly, getting to have customers come in. It just gave us that one more personal connection down there that I enjoyed. But I think it kind of, for us, solidified our priorities when it comes to what we want Three Sheeps to be. Like you said, happy hours are changing and it's not just in cities. We're seeing it everywhere. The weekly, the going out for a beer or two after work, that has really dipped across the state. People are choosing how to spend their money differently. We're seeing more activity on the weekends. When people go out, they want to enjoy it. They want it to be an experience versus just more of a day-to-day lifestyle thing. And I think that is going to be even trickier for all on-premise locations over these next couple of years. It's just, how do you balance that? How do you try to take advantage of the weekends when people are looking to spend money while still not overspending on the weekdays? And it's we all have to think about it. But for us, it just kind of reiterated, come on, our core central values of, we have our Sheboygan tap room. We love people to come up here and experience it directly from us. But we also want you to go out to Sheboygan and enjoy our beer at other spots, support the other bars and restaurants. It's so crucial. Support the other breweries. I mean, we all see those closings happening far too frequently now. I mean, the BA numbers for 2025 just came out, and I mean, there is so much red on those reports. Very, very few breweries grew last year. It's going to be troublesome for a lot of these guys, and I'm hoping that we're all able to figure it out and kind of keep it around, because the joy of craft beer is getting to go. I mean, and people ask me what my favorite beer is, and it's the one I haven't had before. Trying something new. That's what craft beer is all about, and I'm hoping that we can support everyone out there, and even and the bars and restaurants too. They need you to come in. They need you to remember, or else it's going to change. So yeah, we are going to continue to support the bars and restaurants, the liquor and grocery stores out there throughout the state. Do what we can, whatever program we can, just to help them get through this phase. And hopefully it is just a phase, and we all come out on the other side of it.
Absolutely. And as we move to close up here, and I want to thank you again. I have two more questions for you. Number one is, and this is kind of in that same area. As Wisconsin's third largest craft brewery, I love saying that about Three Sheeps. How are y'all navigating the broader industry trends where overall sales requires aggressive diversification? It feels like, are we going to see Three Sheeps lean into harder non-beer categories like hard seltzers, craft sodas, THC? What else? Non-alcoholic. How are we handling all of those areas in a big?
We are fortunate, because beer is still growing for us. So as long as we can keep growing craft beer, that's gonna be our priority. Anything else, we launched a soda brand last year, which is a really nice extension to have something that's not alcoholic, something that's a little different, something that people in Wisconsin can drink. But end of the day, our goal is to not be distracted. If we don't see a reason why we need to take the pedal off for beer. So we're going to continue to invest. We're going to continue to kind of do deals, work with our partners to make sure that they can price the beer well as well. And that's going to be our focus. Last year we made a switch too. In 2020, in February, we launched Cloudless Hard Seltzer, which was our hard seltzer line for the last 6 years. Better be lucky than good by launching in February of 2020, because March of 2020, people couldn't get enough seltzer. And that really saved our bacon during COVID. Last year, we decided to integrate that back into the Three Sheeps family. So now we have Three Sheeps Hard Seltzer. We have a variety pack out in market, single flavors for bars. It's a small part of what we do, but we still have it because it's something we enjoy making. It's something that we want to do as well. And it's kind of just adds to the landscape of what Wisconsin drinks. And that's kind of what we want to be at the end of the day. So really, those are the two that we're betting on right now: the hard seltzer as well as the sodas on the small scale. But otherwise, for us, it's beer. We're a brewery. That's what we're passionate about. I think that's what we do really well. And thankfully, we make a wide range of beers. We really have something for everyone. We have the lagers, we have the hoppies, we have the ambers, Oktoberfest. Wisconsin is such a diverse beer community in what their tastes are that it lets us do all styles and sell all styles, which I think helps us kind of persevere through the more difficult times.
And that's a great segue to some fun times. I would like to, my last question for you. Let's watch something before I ask that question.
Chaos pattern. Oh, Wisconsin United. West Coast. Oh, for the wind.
Yeah.
That's really good.
It's the aeration that you get when you shoot it through the air.
Oh, it opens it up. Let it breathe. Oh, stay golden.
Yeah.
Take one for the team. Water slides.
Yep.
Root beer. Oh, so sticky. Oh, made it to the inside of my pants. The armchair? Bah, one of the OGs, Rebel Kent. Those goggles do nothing. Nothing. Old Fest. Oh, tweezer.
Yeah.
Yeah, the beer's just very different being shot into your mouth. 15-2. Oh, Roseline Wolf Coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, that's old beer. That's good. Well, my name is Joe.
Hey, go Grant.
I love what you do and never work a day in your life.
Yes. You want to explain that, or do I have a question for that, or what's going on?
Our marketing team, they've just been nailing it. They're so good and so creative that I really have trouble saying no to them when they have a zany idea. This is probably the furthest they've pushed me on this, but yeah, it was, again, a lot of fun.
Yeah, and my question is, how crucial is it for you as a leader of a top 3 powerhouse? I know you don't think of yourself as that, but that's how I see it. But to show your community, despite the commercial pressures and the things that are going on, that you show that the brewery really refuses to take itself seriously.
Oh, it's the very essence of who we are and what we want to be. We named ourselves Three Sheeps. It's a grammatically incorrect, fluffy animal that, if we play a 3 sheets to the wind. Yeah, I came from construction. It was just everyone's angry, everyone's grumpy. It just wasn't for me. I wanted to shake that off. So we kind of internally say, we're serious about the beer, but nothing else. We get to make beer. That is our job. We get to make beer, serve beer, sell beer. There's a lot of worse ways to spend your days. And I hope we never forget that. So yeah, doing these zany, fun things, it is all part of it. I think it keeps it interesting. It keeps it more fun. We are craft beer. We have the benefit of not having to be serious all the time. It's great. I love it. And yeah, we're going to keep figuring out and doing this fun stuff because why not? What's the alternative, right?
Absolutely. Well, this is an absolute perfect note, in my opinion, to wrap on. The 14th anniversary party kicks off this Saturday down in Sheboygan Taproom, and the Wisconsinitis Les Paul tournament brackets are officially underway. And also the Golden Lager is out there statewide or soon. We appreciate you pulling up a chair during your busy, anniversary week to give us raw operational data behind the brand. Thank you for joining us on the session.
Oh, thank you for having me, Greg. Appreciate it.
Excellent. And good luck. And I'll be at Lager and Fest on Saturday. I really would love to be there. But
right.
but
enjoy.
Well, y'all breweries put like 7. Y'all do 7 like events on one afternoon and expect all of us to be like Superman or something. I don't know. But there's only 52 weeks in a year, or 56. I always get that wrong. Weeks in 52. Right?
52. Yeah, nailed it.
Oh, okay, I got it. Yeah. So there's only 52 weeks in a year, and there's only 17 summer weekends, right? So everything happens in that weekend. But Grant, have a great weekend, and good luck at Three Sheeps, and we'll talk to you here soon, hopefully.
I appreciate it. Enjoy. Take care.
Thanks, Grant. All right, y'all. All right. So segueing here into the perspective, which is, into the perspective, which is our editorial, um, angle on the session. And today's editorial, last week's editorial was from our friend and everybody's friend, Chris Grosner, the Wisconsin beer baron. Today, we're going to talk. I'm going to talk to you about the nostalgia economy, y'all. I believe that. Let me get this banner here going before I start talking, so y'all know what I'm talking about. So if you follow this network, y'all, you know that a portion of the session is where we rotate our editorial desk out to give different viewpoints on the sharpest minds in the state's craft beer scene. But today I'm claiming the center chair myself because we need to look at the industry trend that's completely shattered expectations over last weekend. As I mentioned at the top of the hour, y'all, last Thursday right here on the network, I sat down with Master Brewer Kirby Nelson to get an exclusive technical briefing on heavy historic announcement, the definitive final batch of Schlitz being mashed in over at the Wisconsin Brewing Company in Verona. We talked about pulling that 1948 paper logbooks out of the archive, and we talked about what it meant to lay a 177-year titan of American industry brewing to rest without because of modern day state holding companies, macro distribution logistics just couldn't justify it anymore. So 2 days later, on Saturday morning, the final brew actually happened, and the exact moment the online order gateway opened to the public, the wheels completely fell off. In less than 2 hours, I think it was, the entire online allocation of an 80-barrel run was completely, unequivocally wiped out, sold out, dead stock. It's over. Think about it. In an era where mainstream national business headlines love to scream beer's dead, or that the consumers are abandoning traditional malt sets, a limited heritage run of an old school macro lager caused a localization internet traffic jam and vanished in a single day. Why? Because I feel we're living in, and Chris Drosner believes that too. We talked about it a little bit. We're living in an absolute golden era of nostalgia economy. This weekend Schlitz wipeout proved a theory that we've been talking about constantly, or a little bit here on the Badger Beer Report in the newsroom. Modern consumers are experiencing deep, exhausting fatigue from chasing endless loops of identical clinical hype styles hitting the shelves every week, y'all. Drinkers just don't want clean fermentation profiles anymore. They want to hold a piece of history in their hands, y'all. They want a narrative. They want to taste an archive. They want a story. And you see, we were talking to Grant here. Grant's telling stories with the Les Paul and the Wisconsinitis brand and how they're using that to tell stories. And look at all how this ties in what Grant was talking about before. Three Sheeps didn't vault to number 3 independent craft in this state by accident. They did it by leaning directly into culture, exact cultural current content. Take the stay-at-home golden lager. It isn't just a phenomenal crisp lager at its intention. It is calculated to post-prohibition regional heritage giants like the Kingsbury Pale that Grant mentioned. And because it honors that legacy, it caught the attention of the state's semi-quincentennial commission to become the official state beer. The lesson here is urgent, I believe, and it is one that independent brewers across Wisconsin need to internalize immediately if they want to survive the market tightening that we're seeing. Stop looking. I'm going to look right in the camera and say this. Stop looking strictly forward and start looking backwards, literally. Wisconsin has the richest, deepest, most storied brewing heritage maybe on the planet. The blueprints for consumer obsession are sitting right there for in our history museums, our old tavern basements, and our regional archives. The operators who are going to win the next 5 years aren't the ones trying to reinvent the wheel with another over-designed hype trend, y'all. It's the ones that will dust off the archives and honor the craftsmen who came before them and deliver a high-stakes story that consumers will fight to stand in line for. I mean, in this industry, in the craft beer industry anymore, we don't stand in line for nothing anymore, y'all. We're done with that, right? But what happened at Wisconsin, Wisconsin Brewing Company last weekend, right? So if you missed the pre-order drop last Saturday, remember that the final remaining liquid is locked down strictly for draft and on-site pours at the single site release celebration in Verona on Saturday, June 27th. Get down there, support independent regional craftsmanship, and taste the history before it's gone. I'm Greg Washington, and that was the perspective for today. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Stay locked into our podcast feeds for our audio-only rollout, probably tomorrow. Y'all can hang out with the video for today. We will see you soon, hopefully next week, but soon on The Perspective here on the Badger Beer Network. And as I love to say, shop local, stay social.